Is RJ Harvey ready to make a sophomore jump? Do we really believe that Quentin Johnston is going to factor in to the Chargers' passing plans in 2026? And what do we think about Ricky Pearsall playing next to Mike Evans? Plus, we'll also be talking with the 13-time FFPC Dynasty champ, Tony Couture, as he waxes poetic on Kyler Murray's impact on TJ Hawkinson, whether Malik Willis just does not have any weapons to succeed in Miami, and much more. Hey, we've got a great show for you. Ferrell Elliott is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Can't stand the pressure. I've seen greater men than need a lesson.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now watching the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for analysis from the best players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott.
Solace in the scripture. Are we not all our father's sons? I became a man. Nobody ever told me what a man was.
Thank you, Rob. Greetings and salutations to all of you Bulkaholics. Welcome into the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com, the Fantasy Football Players Championship. I am your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and coming up on tonight's show, we've got a good one for you. We're going to get into a lot of dynasty stuff, but more veterans on the program. We won't get into the rookies. If you want to get into the rookies for a deep rookie dynasty dive, I'm going to tell you where to watch tomorrow at the end of the show, because we'll get into that for sure. But we will talk about Jackson Dart. We will get into Brian Robinson's impact on Bijan Robinson in Atlanta. And Tony Couture is going to rejoin the show to tell us all about how his dynasty strategy is playing out so far this year, whether we have already seen the best football of Marvin Harrison's career, and so much more. So before we get into it, I do want to let everybody know that if you want to connect with us on X, you can do so at HSFF Hour. I'm at Eric Balkman, EricBalkman. It's right at the bottom of your screen for those of you watching the video version of this show. And check out the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship at KFFSC.com, KFFSC.com. That is Ferrell Elliott's baby, and he does a great job with it. Post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/HSFF Hour. High Stakes Fantasy Football at gmail.com is where to reach us via email. So if you have any questions for us or for Tony, send them in now. We'll try to get to all the chat room questions, X posts, and emails in the fantasy feedback segment coming up later on the show. Shout out to our audio engineer, my best friend Bryce, and our producer and mutual friend Rob. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Dynasty and Empire Dynasty orphans available for as little as $1. We're just about a little bit less than a month away from the NFL draft. Picking up a Dynasty orphan basically for free for 2026 is the perfect way to prep for it. MyFFPC.com/Dynasty for sale. Those teams, some are discounted even less than $1. And you say, Balky, how's that possible? Go to MyFFPC.com. You'll see how it's possible. Those entry fees normally range between $77 and $5,000. And you can get some for as little as $1 right now. The Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament and the Superflex Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament are also live at myffpc.com. $125 to get in the OG version, $40,000 grand prize there. If you want to play in the Superflex version, it's just $35 to enter, and you can still win $10,000. Remember, those drafts will shut down before the NFL draft starts, and they're pacing ahead of last year's pace. So make sure that you get in before all those spots are gone. FFPC Big Gorilla has a $350 entry fee, a $1 million grand prize, 7 Bananas promo, and early Rampage tournament promos going on right now. $25,000 grand prize in the early Rampage, but the Big Gorilla has a $1 million grand prize. Right now, you enter both for one entry fee. The FFPC Baby Gorilla, also available, $125 to enter, $100,000 grand prize. Register for those and draft in those contests now at myffpc.com, myffpc.com. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share with your friends, share with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live. Give you the schedule for the remainder of the week at the end of the show. For right now, I want to bring in my co-host with the most. He is the defending definitive commissioner of fantasy football. You know him on Instagram and X at Ferrell Elliott, but perhaps he is best known for KFFSC.com, the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship. Can't wait to. I just bought a bunch more teams yesterday. It's going to be a lot of fun this year. We welcome him aboard right now. Ferrell Elliott. Ferrell, good evening to you, sir.
Okay, good evening to you, sir. How are you?
Living the dream. Excited
you
to talk
look
fantasy
good.
football.
You look
Thank
clean. You look high and tight. You've been to see the barber. I eventually will. My barber right now is on injured reserve. My backup barber is sunning herself in some Caribbean island, and I'm in a hell of a position right now. So I just keep combing it back, Balky. I just keep combing it back. You know,
that's what I did for a while, and then I switched to hats for a while. But now I got to cut. I got to chop, so I'm good.
They don't make hats big enough to go over this. You know, hey, Balky, you were talking about the Gorilla, which I am actively drafting in. Our beloved friend Biplab Mandel is a participant in the draft that I am in now. Our equally beloved friend and celebrated as the fantasy soprano, Stephen G. Reddy Carbone, that group is preparing to draft in the Baby Gorilla. The league number is 110813, and I have the pleasure of being registered for that league as well. And I would like to challenge Billy Hollywood, who's in the chat, and anyone else that's listening, whether you played in the FFPC before or not, to come join this $125 Baby Gorilla, where I can compete with you and we can get it started. It's fantastic. My team is Countess Tracy here, Balky. That's the name of my team.
I'm want to post this in here. What was the league number again?
It is 110813.
Okay.
That's an impressive league number. That's all I'm saying. It's a great league number.
I guess, yeah. It is an impressive number. I'm going to post it right now for anybody watching on the stream, and even if you're watching this later too, the draft may not be full.
No,
yet.
we have 7 openings, 5 registrants. The other gentlemen or ladies, I don't recognize their team name, but you know what? I recognize the Fantasy Sopranos, and they're in there. And I would in turn, Balky, challenge everyone to come to the KFFSC and join our Sweet 16 Best Ball Championship. You can look at our main event and begin your plans from August. But look at the Best Ball Championship where they can compete against you. The Fantasy Sopranos are in there as well. How great that would be. And, you know, the only thing that's really saddens me about this, Balky, is you can't play in the FFPC. I can't play in the KFFSC. We will never compete against each other. That's why we're perfect for this show.
Yeah, I think it is good. At Tommy Island, by the way, chiming in, I may have to try my first Baby G.
Tommy needs to come in there. Baby Gorilla is where he needs to be.
Yeah. I want to kick things off tonight.
Let's
Ferrell,
kick off. Yeah.
From a Baby Gorilla to a grizzled wide receiver. Tom Pelissero was a guest of Rich Eisen on the appropriately named The Rich Eisen Show.
That's
to state that Stephon Diggs may have to wait a little bit in free agency. Maybe surprising that he is still available to be signed by any team. Pelissero also talked about Deebo Samuel, DeAndre Hopkins, and Keenan Allen as wideouts who are waiting to be approached by a team. And he mentioned 1 million, 1 year, $5 million, which I think is probably what a lot of these guys are going to be facing. Pelissero also talked about the fact that if you sign a player prior to the NFL draft, there's a compensatory picks formula here that your team may not be eligible if you're signing these free agents, but these free agents don't count against that formula after the NFL draft. So how do we exploit this from a fantasy standpoint? Right now in the FFPC Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, the ADP I'm getting from fantasymojo.com. That's Darren Armani's website. Anytime we cite ADP, it is from fantasymojo.com. He's the godfather of the Pros vs. Joes Challenge, and I highly recommend getting a subscription to Fantasy Mojo if you are playing in the FFPC. He's got Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 52 at the 1305. That is right behind KC Concepcion. It is right ahead of Jalen Coker. Ferrell, is that an exploitable price for you right now? The middle of the 13th round for one Stephon Diggs?
No, especially not with the other the veteran receivers that are here. But Steven Yerger comes in on the comments and feels that he could go to the Eagles. And does that make sense? Yes. You can make sense for Diggs to go anywhere. And Steve may have dug into the fact that maybe there's a coaching tree connection that brings Diggs there. It's best for fantasy players to be in a wait and see position, because I like a lot of receivers, especially some of the young guys around that 13 position. I also think that whenever a team moves on him, they've got to move through these other players. And if I was running an NFL team, I know what these three other players can do for my team in the locker room, in the community, helping players get ready. And, Keenan Allen caught 81 balls last year. We don't want to forget that. Mm-hmm. I feel that the veteran receiver availability is what gives Diggs a hit. And so, yeah, I'm going to be in a wait and see mode. I like Diggs better as a fantasy player than I do an NFL general manager. So there you go.
Yeah, I do too. And I'm glad you brought up Keenan Allen, because last year, Dan Williamson from Stack Hunters, Player Profiler, Fantasy Empire podcast, a long-time, very successful fantasy football player, was taking Keenan Allen basically in every best ball draft, every gorilla, but it was late. It was like 17th, 18th round. And I had him on Insider Access, and I asked him about that. And he's like, well, Balky, he's going to sign somewhere. And once he signs, that ADP is going to go up. So why wouldn't I take the value that I can get right now? But by the way, Stephon Diggs is coming into his age 32 season. Keenan Allen last year was coming into his age 32 season. So there are some comparables here. I think the difference is, and you mentioned this too, as well as Pelissero, there are some more veteran receivers out there. So it is not necessarily a seller's market. It is a buyer's market right now. And I'm with you. I think the price will continue to fall on Diggs for a while. I don't think it's hit bottom yet. So 13th, I'm avoiding. I'd rather have Concepcion there for sure. All right, RJ Harvey Ferrell. Let's talk about him. Osmider, who covers the Broncos for The Athletic, has reported that the coaching staff believes he is ready for a year 2 jump. Denver, it was reported by several reputable sources over the course of the offseason that they were going to make a big splash with the running back position in free agency. That did not happen. It did not materialize. I don't know how close they were to Kenneth Walker, Rico Dowdle, Travis Etienne, whoever it was. They didn't get him, so they end up going with J.K. Dobbins. Now, I've gone back and forth on this, and maybe we've talked about this before, but I keep changing my mind. I think about how the Broncos overdrafted Harvey last year at a spot that many of us did not think he was going to go to. And yet they were giving J.K. Dobbins so many of the touches in that backfield. And Harvey was sometimes playing behind Jaleel McLaughlin and some of these other jokers they had. Right. And then I think this year, okay, well, they believe he's ready to make a year 2 jump. And now they're paying J.K. Dobbins $10 million this year. So I'm getting mixed messages coming from the front office, coming from the coaching staff there. I don't know what to believe. And in these cases, when I don't know what to believe, if I'm going to invest in either one of these players, I usually invest in the cheaper one. Harvey, running back 26, 5'12". J.K. Dobbins, back up to running back 37 at the 9'10". 4 rounds difference. Maybe Harvey outscores Dobbins this year, but I feel much more comfortable drafting Dobbins 4 rounds later than paying up in the 5th round for Harvey.
I like your plan because it's a good plan, but I don't think it makes a difference. We talked last week on the show about Denver being in the top 5 or so of teams that – no, they were 4th of teams that threw the ball. So let me ask you this, Balky. Just pick a number out of thin air. How many times they rushed the ball in Denver last year?
Ferrell.
Grab it, Balky. It's floating around. Grab it and give it back to me.
303.
Why, hell no. 456 rushing attempts. Nick's got 83 of them. Okay? Nick's got 83 of those attempts. So you look at that and you assume that we're dealing with a team that at least is going to run the ball 360 times. There's enough there for both these players. And we've always seen this coach run a 2-back system. We've watched that in the history of his game. This team's going to win. Consequently, they're going to run out some fourth quarters. They're going to use both backs. I love it for fantasy football. I don't think you can make a mistake with these backs based on where they're going in the draft. I think you ought to draft both of them.
Yeah,
but your plan is a good plan.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what I think that I don't doubt that Harvey has the higher value touches, that more of the higher, like Dobbins is going to out touch him. But I think Harvey will have more catches, right? Which are obviously what is it, 2.5 more times valuable than a carry. But the investment, that's the problem I have with it is I don't know if I want to soak. I mean, I'll tell you this right now, Ferrell. If I look at the ADP on Mojo, the running backs that are going after one RJ Harvey, Chuba Hubbard is going around later. Jalen Warren is going around later. Ramondre Stevenson is going nearly 2 rounds later. Rico Dowdle going nearly 2 rounds later. I just don't know if I want to pay up for Harvey. I think he is at the back end of that tier. Like he's one of the last guys on that tier. But when it comes down to it, I think, and you said you like my plan, so we can leave it at that. But maybe these guys pay off. I don't know.
Well, and it's a great passing attack, a winning football team, and a team that should challenge for the Super Bowl. It's not like we're trying to break up the backfield from a team that's a sub 500 team here.
Right. Yeah.
And they're going to be involved in offensive shootouts of all kinds.
I want to get to one more thing. We have Tony Couture waiting in the green room, noshing on some crudité and
I'm sure he is.
We put in there. The last thing I want to bring up here is this Chris Rim report from ESPN. Chris Rim covers the Chargers for ESPN.com. And he said that the belief system, at least internally with the Los Angeles Chargers, is that they believe in Johnston and he is unlikely to be traded to another team. Now, Rim also said that if the right offer for the Chargers materializes, then that thing could change. But apparently the powers that be in Los Angeles love Johnston. He's due to have the 5th-year option exercised by May 1st. We don't know if they're going to extend him. 51 catches, 700 yards, 8 touchdowns last season. That was basically a carbon copy of what he did in 2024. Now, we have the Mike McDaniel effect coming in. I feel like we talk about Mike McDaniel in this offense every single week with either amongst you and I or with the guest. And we talk about how does Mike McDaniel affect Omarion Hampton, Ladd McConkey, Aronde Gadsden. I don't really feel like we've talked about Quentin Johnston in this offense. And maybe it's because he, 2 of the modifiers I've heard to describe him are underwhelming and boring. Maybe he is. Yeah. Well, I mean, because look at the stats the last couple of years. I mean, I get it. And he's a former 1st-round pick and he hasn't blown up. I get why some people would be underwhelmed by that. I do think he's a decent football player. I do think he has the opportunity to put up similar numbers, maybe even better numbers this year. But I don't know how you think about Quentin Johnston's production for 2026.
I've always loved this player, and I always expected better production. If you want to look at his production last year, he's injured in 3 games. He played in all but 2, but he was injured in 3, injured in very early in one of the last games. He started the year a target monster with numbers to present itself. Our first game when we were out there in Las Vegas in Bulky, where were we drafting in Las Vegas? It was the Planet
last
Hollywood
year
in Paris, and
we were actually at Binion's where they had the World Series of Poker. That's
we were there too.
Yep.
I can't remember where we were. That's the reason. People think this stands for F for Ferrell. This F is really my high school grade point average, but nevertheless. I think we're dealing with a player here that we talk about breakout players. This is a fantasy breakout player because Keenan Allen, if we looked at his stats, my guess would be that Keenan Allen's quiet 81 receptions, that's the bar bet that you can always win. But his quiet 81 receptions last year came after October 1st. And you watch some of the opportunity for Johnston to become depleted with Keenan Allen's situation, and I really like this player, and I don't see any reason, Mr. Chris here, Mr. Chris Rim, is that the guy from Ted Lasso?
That's the show I have a hole in my TV watching, Ferrell.
You haven't watched Ted Lasso?
No,
we
I've
got
had
to
so
stop
many
the show. Everyone, Balky's got to take in one
I watched
episode.
Ted Lasso.
Then we'll come back and resume the
Yeah.
show. Well, okay, Johnston. In all seriousness, I just took him in the Big Gorilla. I believe I got him at the start of the 11th round, and I from the 3rd spot, and I couldn't be happier with that pick. I think the touchdowns, I think he's that long body, long arms. I like to call him Spider-Man. I really love this player, and I believe he becomes a fantasy, a top fantasy contributor. And if you look at September, what he did in September last year, and imagine that going throughout the entire year, you're talking about a Pro Bowl player, and you're talking about a guy that'll win you a fantasy league.
57 of Keenan Allen's 81 catches came after October 1st last year.
There you go.
And I'll tell you this too, as far as what you're looking at with the Chargers right now, Keenan Allen is not on this team at the moment.
He's gone.
He is not on this team. He's a free agent. He's unsigned. And you look at the rest of the Chargers depth chart here. Obviously, Trey Harris, sophomore receiver. We'll see what he does this year. Seems like there's a lot of people down on him. Johnston, obviously, we've been talking about. They have McConkey. And then you're talking about Keandre Lambert-Smith, Dalvin Campbell, Darius Davis, Jaquay Jackson, Luke Grimm. There's a huge opportunity here for Johnston, especially in this McDaniel offense. So while I remain more Switzerland on this, Ferrell, I am definitely much closer to being on your side after I hear your soliloquy about.
I love that, a soliloquy.
Absolutely.
I love that.
Go
It's
ahead.
interesting because I'm known as a soliloquist, and what is that political term when you just talk and keep talking and keep talking?
Oh, it's a filibuster.
Filibuster. I'm a soliloquist, and you're a filibusterist. I think that's no, you aren't. I've got to start paying better attention when you are filibustering because I was looking up something to come with a proper response on the telephone in our last week's show. And you were making a very good point, and you were going on and on about it, which is you're right. And you were informing and it was wonderful. And I looked like I had fallen asleep while you were filibustering. And I don't want to be accused of a Trumpian sleep during the meeting. So nevertheless, I'm going to quit doing that. I'm going to stay lively and keep my eyes on you, Balky.
Well, listen, there's no way you cannot be lively right now because we are bringing in our guest.
Our guest,
which I'm very excited to do.
Guy knows something about fantasy football too.
Yes, this is a gentleman who has actually been on this show before. For those of you eagle-eyed viewers / listeners, you'll remember just under 5 years ago, we had this gentleman on previewing the 2021 NFL draft. He has since won numerous dynasty leagues. Since then, he is a 13-time FFPC Dynasty League winner. He joins us tonight. You can follow him on X at Cabot Street Mantown. I believe I'm getting that right, or maybe Cabin Saint Mantown. Not sure, but we'll talk. We'll ask him about it here shortly. Please welcome back onto the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, Mr. Tony Couture. Tony,
there he is.
Sir.
Hey guys,
Look
man,
at him.
thanks for having me. I'm so excited to reach out today. I didn't know that you still had all those logs when I had mentioned I was on the show before because I was looking and couldn't find it. And if you played it back, you would have realized what a mistake because I think I talked for like 2 minutes about Van Jefferson. And,
Van Jefferson.
You guys are like, this guy can't come
great.
back on. But no, I really appreciate. I love talking ball. You guys are the best. Thanks for having me.
So a bit of background here. I did not. Normally, I'm pretty good with remembering who I've had on. Now, we do 50 plus shows a year. This is like the 14th year we've been doing it. Now they're starting to blur together.
Yeah,
but Tony, you are now part of a list of two. The great Andrew Brown is the other one of people I've reached out to see if they'd want to come on the show and chop it up with us that inform me, actually, I've already been on the show before. So Andrew Brown, it happened a couple years ago, and it happened today. But I'm just damn glad to have you back.
Me too.
The X account, Cabot Street, Mantown, is that what it is?
Yeah, so there is a backstory on that. So I started in the FFPC maybe 2014. And back then I was still young enough to play like men's league football.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a sponsor that was Cabot Street Liquors. And we'd end up in the basement with the 3 TVs, which was Mantown, and it just kind of merged. A lot of those guys are kind of silent partners in these ventures. So they're in the group texts, and they make sure I don't do anything stupid. But so yeah, Cabot Street is stuck. That's kind of, I'm not. That's the team name on all these, and it's nostalgic at this point.
Do you walk in there with the jersey and still get complimentary beverages and bottles?
So interestingly enough, I think it's changed hands, but my job is talking about moving to right across the street from this place. So, so who knows? What could go wrong? What could go wrong?
No, nothing could go wrong with that.
And Tony, I'm getting your last name right, Couture, right?
It's Couture, but you can make me feel fancy.
Balky's experience in the fashion industry brings him to Couture.
I get it. I get it.
Now, if
I don't correct people on that.
I'm doing the Travis Achan thing. I'm not doing Travis Etienne anymore, so I can definitely do the Tony Couture thing. So I'm going to do that for you.
You're right. I should go by Tony Achan. Everybody's doing it.
Tony Achan would be good. We should all go by Achan.
Yeah.
Eric Achan, Ferrell Elliott, and Tony Achan.
I can't do that in light.
Are you still whipping those high school kids into shape in the physics classroom?
So I'm not actually. 2 years ago, I got a promotion. I'm a director in the district now. I'm in the same district, and I'm the director of instructional technology, which a lot of people think is IT, but I'm on like the software side. So I'm really kind of doing operations, like a lot of efficiency, getting the most out of our student information system, our parent communication stuff, just behind the scenes on the computer all day, working with AI.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. I will say this, and Ferrell, this is as much for you as it is for Tony. I saw a wonderful movie this past weekend that it was more chemistry than physics, or maybe was more physics than chemistry. I don't know. I was bad at both of them, so don't ask me. Project Hail Mary with Ryan Gosling about this astronaut. Well, I don't want to spoil the plot, but basically the sun is dimming, and they have to figure out how to stop the sun from dimming. Really fun movie. A little bit long, 2.5 hours, but it was good.
All right, sounds great.
Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about Ryan Gosling movies, and we still haven't hit fantasy football. So without further ado, let's go to Jacksonville, Tony. Actually, no, let's not go to Jacksonville. You're a veteran of the show. I'll throw a curveball at you right away. Johnny Lincoln chiming in on YouTube right now. Najee Harris visiting Seattle. Do you think he'd be a good fit if he is indeed healthy enough to start the 2026 campaign? Now, if we look at Seattle, Tony, they did sign Emmanuel Wilson from the Packers, 1 year, $2 million. It wasn't a big investment. They have Charbonnet. I think he's going to miss the season because he tore his ACL so late. And there's not much else there. Travis Homer signed with somebody, but it wasn't Seattle. They need bodies. I would imagine that they're going to invest in a running back probably on day 2 of the draft. I don't think they do it on day 1. But if Najee Harris ended up there and he was healthy to start the year, he'd probably be the guy to start the year with only Emmanuel Wilson and a rookie behind him, right?
That's tough. I mean, I definitely got my eye on that. I am sneaky into the Emmanuel Wilson signing. I mean, he looked great when he was the guy in those games at Green Bay.
Yeah.
But $2 million is not enough to make you think that's anything real. Plus, he hasn't proven he can do it over time. So, I mean, if Najee ended up there, I would think it's some kind of committee similar to last year. Let Najee get beat up on some of those low value touches and see if they can get some explosiveness from Emmanuel Wilson. So I wouldn't hate it. They're definitely going to bring in somebody. And like you said, maybe one of those big, fast rookie running backs that, day 2 haven't really got a lot of production to their profile, but would fit the mold if the hole's open.
I think it would be very, not that we need to get into the weeds of this, but I could definitely see a team that is quarterback needy trading up from the early second round to that 32nd overall pick to take Ty Simpson, and then the Seattle using that top 40 pick on Jadarian Price or somebody like that.
Yeah,
non-zero chance of that happening.
Bucky, you got it on fire, man. You're on fire. Which, and I'm so glad that Johnny Lincoln may go down and show history as the only guy that trumped the #1 lead from the rundown.
Yes.
That Johnny Lincoln should be proud. And
gotta give the people what they want, Ferrell.
It's just a wonderful thing. And Johnny, you know, I think what I would tell anyone that's looking at Seattle football is to invest in the pass catchers. But you know, that's what I might want to do at Jacksonville, Mr. T. You know, Parker Washington in an aforementioned Big Gorilla, where I'm drafting in the #3 position. He is my #2 receiver because I believe he will be Jacksonville's #1 receiver. And so I don't think I overpaid for him. I think I paid what I wanted to do to get this player. I really like this player. Balky and I share one thing in common. Well, we share many things in common, but one thing we can certainly agree on is we like the way players finish the year. And Parker Washington finished the year better than a lot of receivers in the NFL. Do you agree? Will you be toasting Cabot Street drinks in favor of Parker Washington on your roster this year?
Well, finish the year, not only finish the year in playoff games when it mattered. You know, it wasn't like it's the Jets. Let's see what we got here. Like, we need to win, get them the ball. I just think it's amazing that this is a question if we go back a year from now or a year, you know, last year at this time, right? Like I was into him. I had him. He was, you know, one of those last guys I was keeping. And then they bring in Diami Brown for a lot of money. And then they draft freaking Travis Hunter. And it's like, whoops, mistake was made by me. But, you know, the new coaching staff comes in. They look at the guy. Maybe he doesn't fit what we want. And then just like the year before, they couldn't keep him off the field.
That's exactly right.
So I agree. I mean, you know, there was the running joke that every week you look at the box score and it was him and Brenton Strange as the leading receivers when they had Hunter and Brian Thomas. I'm with you. I think he's too good. He's done it 2 years in a row. I mean, he's a 6th-round pick, but he's from Penn State. He's not. It's not somewhere, you know, some little school where it might be like, you know, lightning in a bottle here. This guy has proven it under multiple staffs. So I'm in on him.
Okay, then I'll follow up with this. Here's a guy who's not from a little school either. His 2024 led fantasy drafters to invest highly in him, see a lot of future in him. And, you know, and I'm talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, you know, his play this past year made me think that Marvin Harrison Sr., who's 50-something years old, could probably come in and have as good a year as Junior did. 73 targets, 73 targets for the year. Here's a player that 2025 basically revealed as a wasted year. Does Harrison get back to what we saw in 24, or is there something? Here we go. Blame it on the quarterback. What's going on here? I've never drafted this player, and I'm glad I haven't. And I will continue to let someone else select him.
Yeah, so we're tied to him in Dynasty right now because we're still holding on to him. You couldn't really sell him last year. You can't sell him now. But the problem is all those excuses are still there. I mean, the quarterback play was really bad. And then we got our first look at him without Kyler. He had all the injuries. I mean, he had what? He had concussion, appendicitis, a heel thing. I mean, we never really got to see it. And that would have been at least the time where I would have felt comfortable getting out. You know, I saw him with another quarterback. So now, you know, I mean, it's Brissett again, it seems like. And looks like we just have to wait and see in another one. But, you know, the other thing that scares me with him too is he started talking a lot, you know, during the season and then after about like the mental health stuff that he was feeling while he was out. And I mean, I don't want to alienate a population of our viewers here, but these Zoomers, they're not as resilient as us guys, you know. And that, when they start talking about that, like they go through some adversity, you never know how they're going to respond. So you put all that together, and it's terrifying to own him. But you know, it's not like you're going to get anything for him.
So a couple of things. So, regarding the mental health thing, I'm not Marvin Harrison. I don't know what it's like to be Marvin Harrison, but I know in 2026, the pressure and everything going on for a pro athlete, for a celebrity, for a YouTube influencer or whatever, there's so much more that these guys have to deal with than what Marvin Harrison Sr. had to deal with, than what Fred Biletnikoff had to deal with, than what Don Hudson had to deal with. So again, I'm not in their shoes. But I just do know that it's tougher. I mean, I not to get into it, but like I see all the time, like some, these YouTube influencers that are super popular and have, this huge reach and all these likes and subscribers or whatever, and they're passing away of their own volition. And it's like, what is going, I mean, I don't want to get into all that.
Yeah.
But regarding Harrison, here's how we bring it back to fantasy football. Let me paint you a picture, Tony. What happens in the first 3 or 4 weeks if Harrison puts together a couple of 6 for 80 and touchdown games with like a 10 for a 130 and 2 touchdown or whatever? What if he comes out of the gate red hot? Because then you could get something for him. Would you be willing to stay on the Harrison train after 3 or 4 hot games, or would you be looking to get out of the MHJ business?
I think I'd stay. I mean, it's hard to find, like, the NFL's kind of shifted in these, like the workhorse running back. There's not very many workhorse receivers around these days, with all the 12 and 13 tight end personnels, they're just not getting out there enough. So, I mean, his body type and his style of play, you have to roll with it if he shows it. And I really think he will or can. It's just like you said, mental health these days is so scary with,
and we don't know
young people. And you got to imagine, this is the first time in this guy's life that he's ever not been on top. And he's hearing all the from when he started for his rookie year, he wasn't good enough. And that's got to be a kind of shell shock to the system. So if you can just get out of it, like, I'm confident that he has the tools.
There was a Thursday night game, guys. I think it was a Thursday night game this past season where Harrison had a really awful drop that it either would have been a first down or a touchdown. I can't remember.
He was in Seattle.
Was it a Thursday night game, Tony?
I think it was. It was a standalone, definitely.
Because he made this amazing catch in the corner of the end zone, like the next series or a couple series later. And you can just tell, like, you could almost see this weight that was lifted off his shoulders. And he kind of like took several moments in the end zone to just feel that moment, enjoy that moment.
Yeah.
It was a moment of relief.
I remember that.
And I feel like if he could just string a couple of those, not necessarily plays together, but a few series, a few games, that might be all it takes to get that confidence back going again for a guy who was pretty good in college.
Pretty good. Guys, I think whatever generation you're from, it's also difficult when you have a father, a successful father. You're doing the exact same thing that he did, and that's a difficult challenge. So
tons of pressure.
Harrison, very, very good. And what do you do with him? Well, if he has that success, I don't think you sell him, because this is a "what have you done for me lately" league. And when he has that success, everybody's going to say, we knew it was there the whole time.
That's
you will be validated, Tony, for hanging on to him. And you brought up Fred Biletnikoff, Falky. Fred's biggest challenge when he was playing was, finding some guy like Tony that would want to hang out at the Cabot Bar out in Oakland. That was a big challenge for him. One more, Fred.
Yeah. And he was crushing it at the Tallahassee bars in college too.
Yes, sir. Fear the spear, Balky. I love how you get that in there.
Yeah,
I love how you get Florida State in there.
So we were talking earlier. Ferrell and I were about finishing the season strong. I don't know if anybody finished the season stronger than Colston Loveland in Chicago. Unbelievable stuff. His never too early ADP really has remained stagnant since we opened that up a couple of months ago, Tony. He's still at that 2-3 turn. Obviously, tight end 3 off the board. He's going basically a full round after Brock Bowers, and he's going a full round before Tyler Warren. In your opinion, and I know you're a dynasty guy, but I'll ask you this redraft question here. In your opinion, do you think that FFPC players are giving too much credence to that finish at the end of the season to pump up this guy who is coming into his second year in the NFL, but really only played kind of a half season last year and only had, a handful of really dominant games. Granted, they all came at the end. They were in the stretch of the home stretch of the season where we all got to see it, and he finished strong. But at the same time, it's a very small sample size, and you're soaking a late second, early third round pick into that. Is that something you'd be willing to do? Is our FFPC drafters handling Loveland correctly right now?
Absolutely. They might not even be paying enough in my mind. This is my guy. And, talking about the co-owners, like this was the flag plant last year in rookie drafts. We ended up with almost all of our options that we could have. We took him instead of Warren, which looked horrible in the first half of the season, as you might be aware. But he came on. I mean, he had 10 targets in each of the last 4 games he played. Like in tight end premium, that's solid gold. He's only 21 years old right now still. So to do that as a 21-year-old tight end where, it takes time to learn the position at the NFL level. And he was amazing. And I still think that they're going to add someone this year. I kind of think, it seems like they're still missing, if we're going to the old Detroit offense, it doesn't seem like they have a Monra unless that's what Loveland really is supposed to be. So I think they might add someone, but that just, I think, is going to create a buying opportunity for me. I'm just going to keep pouring as much as I can in because, FFPC scoring, like those, if you can get in the 20s with your tight end every week, like that's just unbeatable. Yeah. So I think, that's fine with me for best ball or redraft. And I think I would pay anything but the 102 for him. It's probably Love and that's it. And the rookie, in terms of rookie picks, I don't know if there's any receiver I'd want before I want him.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, I agree with you, by the way, Tony. The only other thing I would say is in Superflex, like if you needed a quarterback, but you had the opportunity, like what if you had Loveland, right? In FFPC Superflex Dynasty, what if you had Loveland, but your quarterbacks were awful and you could get the 102 for Loveland? Then it gets a little more.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the game you play in Superflex, right? Like you only can move quarterbacks when you can afford to move quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that would be simple. Okay, here's a quarterback you can move. He's on the move already.
Yeah,
Kyler Murray. Now, have you ever been a big Kyler Murray fan?
So I had him for a while. We got out of him in time last year, and now try to buy the dip, I guess.
Boy, those dynasty Bulky have their own lingo. Got out of them in time. Okay, so Trey McBride, that's I think it's fantasy fool's gold to say, okay, Kyler Murray targeted Trey McBride a great deal, so now he's moving on. So I'll go to his new tight end, Hawkinson. And maybe he'll target Hawkinson as much. And I think that's nonsense. It's possible. What does Balky say? What is it, Balky?
Crazy Town Banana Pants.
Well, no, that's one thing, but you also say there's more than a 0% chance.
Oh, there's a non-zero chance.
Yeah, I love that. I love when Balky says that. But so what's your thought? Are you going to cash in on that more than non-zero and get some TJ Hawkinson because you think that Kyler Murray going to warm the breadbasket of his pass catching proficiency?
So I've already kind of rode a roller coaster with Hawkinson this year alone. I was trying to get him from everybody in January for like a third and getting laughed at. He's not cheap, guys. Nobody has kind of given up on him. And so I was thinking that he was going to be a cap cut and he was going to be out of there. And I was kind of looking for that. It could go either way, right? Like Kyler threw to tight ends a lot, the flats. He doesn't really throw in the middle. Hawkinson kind of runs those, where he'll chip and run to the flats. Like, so we could end up with a ton of those. But the other thing that people can't forget is that was a Drew Petzing offense, which is Kevin Stefanski, the tight end guys, and he's gone. He's in Detroit. So maybe we should be looking at a rebound for Laporta. But I don't trust that it was Kyler more than the system. And so with the price on Hawkins right now, like we have a good amount of him and I wouldn't be looking to sell him, but he's hard to get out of people's hands. He's only 29. Like people.
Why do you think that is? Why? because I'm with you. I mean, like, I'm surprised to hear that people don't want to part with this guy. What do you think is the redeeming quality that has so many FFPC Dynasty owners not willing to part with this guy?
I don't know, and I won't either, so I can't even tell you. But no, I mean, it's the name value. It's you've seen him catch 80 balls. I mean, last year he only had like 40 something, and he didn't even break 500 yards, and he didn't miss any games. He played the whole year. And then the year before he was hurt, so still waiting for that rebound. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't cut the cord on that one either. So I'm not the right guy to.
He's in your magical 16, in other words.
Yeah.
You know, and Johnny Lincoln. You see what Johnny Lincoln's doing when he's coming in here to the podcast, guys. Johnny Lincoln is trying to pull you out of the quicksand of dynasty ball and get you into redraft. Johnny's ready to draft now.
Yeah.
And he's telling you to draft Kraft. Nobody's going to give Kraft up either.
Nope.
The dynasty quicksand.
Yes, you're in the quicksand of the dynasty.
That's a good one. All right. Let's ask you about Jackson Dart here. I'll just tell you honestly right now, Tony, I'm concerned with Malik Neighbors' recovery from injury. I'm concerned that Wan'Dale Robinson is going to leave a bigger hole in this offense than the Giants are willing to admit. I'm a little concerned that they have tried to replace him with a combination of Isaiah Likely, Calvin Austin, and who was the other?
Mooney.
Darnell Mooney, thank you. I'm a little concerned that they've done all that. And I'm also concerned when I thought the Giants were set at the running back position with Scadaboo and Tracy, that we're poking around Kenneth Walker in free agency, and now they're talking about Jeremiah Love at pick number 5. So I don't know if the team knows what they're doing. I don't know if the team knows what they have. I do like Jackson Dart, but I am worried about what's forming around him when you consider what you have to pay. I would assume he's very expensive. In Dynasty, I can tell you that in that Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, if you want to get Jackson Dart on your team, he's going as quarterback 9 in the 8th round. I just want to get your take, man. Like, how do you think Jackson Dart's first full season as a starter in the league is going to go?
It's going to be another up and down. I mean, I think I kind of disagree with you a little bit because I like those pieces as upgrades. I mean, whatever version of Neighbors he gets is still better than anyone that he had last year. I like Likely a lot, and I think he's going to play kind of like that Wanda he'll be the big slot instead of a little fast one. I think Mooney, as bad as he was last year, is upgrade over Slayton, but you didn't
who they still have too, by the way.
Right.
Slayton.
Oh yeah. So just in case.
You're right. In case of emergency, bring in Darius Slayton. Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. We'll run that back for the 10th year in a row. But the coaching scares me from a fantasy standpoint. You know, I mean, it's Harbaugh who likes to run. You know, he's got Greg Roman on staff from when he was with them in Baltimore, and they kind of had a slow pace with Lamar back then. Mm-hmm. And then who the heck is? Oh, and Nagy's the offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
like that he couldn't make magic in Kansas City. So I don't trust that they're going to give him a better second year than he had last year. You know, new offense, a lot to learn. It's just going to be up and down. I love the player. I mean, he's so exciting to watch. He's got the tools. But I think it's going to be kind of a repeat of what we just saw.
Which with Jackson Dart, that might be okay. I really am impressed with your breakdown of the coaching tree. You know, you're doing this all from your memory and not from a chart, and I'm impressed with it. You know these guys' history. I think that gives you a great edge, as not as much as a dynasty player and a redraft player. You took a simple question there. You think Jackson Dart's first full season as a star, and in reality, you answered a lot of different things. And Balky set it up perfectly with those running backs situation. And, you know, maybe Scadaboo, this bunch looks at Scadaboo and says, what we have here is a fantastic overachiever. That, you know,
can they possibly take a running back that early again after all the heat they got when they did with Barkley. Like, it seems like they're gonna, and it's one of those where are you finished? That's like supposed to be the last piece. Are you finished with the build that you're ready for an elite running back? I mean, Tracy was fine last year when he was out there, and Scatterbo was exciting too. All this talk makes me think that there's something more to the Scatterbo injury than we know.
Yeah.
You know, a little detective work, Balky.
There has to be more to that. Like, he must not be. I mean, obviously his style of play wasn't going to be, a 10-year running back, but there must be something going on with the ankle.
Well, here's what's going on. If you don't like Jackson Dart, you should immediately elevate Malik Willis as one of your targets. Now I want to ask you guys, Balky, here's another chance to pull one of those numbers out of the air. Sure. Quarterback rating last year for Malik Willis. Quarterback rating. Don't go looking it up. Don't look at the ceiling. It's not up there.
No, I'm thinking.
Brother Couture knows it. He knows who coached him in high school.
I'm going 131.7.
Yeah, that's good. That's close. Balky?
All right. I will go 128.9.
145 led the
Oh
league.
my God.
145. He is so great.
So great.
So great that, I think now the whole future of the Dolphins franchise is vested in 145 quarterback rating. He threw 35 passes last year over 3 games, completed 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And that's one thing. But the other thing is this year, who is he going to throw them to? And
Malik Washington.
Us guys.
No pass catching weapons is what some fantasy players say. I know there's a depth chart down there, and when you look at it, it's Tutu Atwell, Jalen Tolbert, the aforementioned Malik Washington, and tight end Craig Dulich, who, when he catches more passes, we will discover if I pronounce his name right or not. Every year I pronounce it differently. So my point is, we don't know where the Giants are going to go, running back or wide receiver. I think these Dolphins are going to draft a lot of wide receivers, and I think it could be a lot of fun with these rookie wide receivers that go there. We hear players that say, I don't want to really draft in the Big Gorilla, the Baby Gorilla, the KFFSC until after the draft. Well, if you want to draft Dolphins, that might be, I'll say that's legitimate. But so that's my take on it. What is your take on this Malik Willis? And do you see any of this group elevating? Players here at University of Louisville swear that Tutu Atwell's the man. People that work out with Tutu on the West Coast, they swear he's the guy. He's in position now to be the guy. I didn't see it. I like Tolbert at Dallas. But here, I have asked you the question. Now you break it down and tell us who all these guys were coached by.
I didn't even know their depth chart, honestly.
No one else does either. I had to look at it.
I thought they added a good tight end, but so we actually have this decision. The way things ended last year was so strange, and we always kind of hoard our FAB, our bidding money. And he was the rare situation at the end of the year last year where everybody wanted him. If you were out and rebuilding, you knew he was going to be a free agent in Superflex. And if you were contending, he just started at the end of the year. So he was on waivers. And so you had to either add him or try to block someone from getting him. So we had him on 7 out of 7 Superflex Dynasty teams coming into this offseason. I've moved him from 3 already. We were able to get out of him on 3 of the 7. Problem is, in some of those other teams, like the quarterback room is like Daniel Jones and him and Dart. So it's not pretty. I was fine until they got rid of Waddle. And once they got rid of Waddle, it was kind of like the writing's on the wall. We're not even going to look to throw the ball. Might not even be looking to win. And so redraft, you're out. But he strikes me as one of those players that's getting really 1 year. Like he's kind of like Fields guy. He's getting a year to show if he can, elevate the players around him, despite really none of them having, standout traits. I think at this point, got to get out.
I think he's gloriously going to succeed.
I'm happy to hear that. I mean, I think in best ball, he's a great roster guy, right? Like, because you don't have to worry about when he's going to look awful. He'll have those long runs. He'll have the rushing scores. But if you have to pick which week to put them out there, my goodness.
Well, you just play the Jets twice.
I was listening to the Draft Rankings podcast on the Player Profiler Podcast Network with Cody Carpentier, and Cody Carpentier did a just a short podcast on a Dolphins 7-round mock, and he said he believes that most of their picks will probably go on the defensive side of the football.
Oh my God.
With apologies to Cody, who knows way more about the draft than I ever will. I was like, how bad is that Dolphins defense that somehow the offense takes a back seat?
Yeah.
I don't see it. Now they have Achane. I like their backfield is pretty good. He mentioned that the left side of their offensive line is pretty good as well right now, but they need bodies. Now, I'll just say this right now, as far as Malik Willis goes. There's a very real possibility with the Dolphins having 7 picks on day 1 and day 2, 2 firsts, a second, and 4 thirds. There's a very real possibility that they come away out of this draft, and then, with what's left over in free agency, you could see Brandon Ayuk, Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, one of those guys down there. You could see Mekhi Lemon or Jordan Tyson on this team, and you could see another 3rd-round guy on this team. Oh God, who is Bryce Lance from North Dakota State? He could be on this team, and he could be the 3rd guy that they add. So I will say that this receiver room could look very different come early May. And then all of a sudden we're looking at Malik Willis in a different light. And then at that point, we might be getting back on the Willis train. And I'm not telling you to go out and buy Willis right now. And I checked at Tony Couture here tonight, who knows more about it than I do. But I will say that there could be a buying opportunity for Willis. And I don't think it will happen after the draft. I think that window might be before the NFL draft.
Yeah, I think the buys right now. You're right. They're gonna add people. They have to. I mean, it has the starting receivers aren't on the roster.
Of those 4 vets that we wrote up in the early part of the show.
Oh, Keenan Allen's another one too. Yeah.
Which one would you want?
Other one
for this quarterback, for your quarterback. Not to help Miami, not to catch a lot of balls, but who would you want for your quarterback?
I think I'm probably going to go Keenan Allen because he's reliable, safety net. I mean, you have to assume that they're going to see a lot of zone because of his legs. So, he's not going to have to beat people man to man. He just sit down in the windows, not going to cause drama like Diggs and some of the other guys will, just like a stabilizing force.
He has 2 healthy knees. He does not have the off-field stuff that Diggs has. He's a more traditional wide receiver than Deebo Samuel is. And man, if you can get Keenan Allen down to South Beach to catch passes from Willis, he could easily repeat that 80 catch season that he had last year. It'll really help Willis's development, knowing that he has this guy where he knows where Keenan Allen's going to be on every single play, and Allen's going to catch the ball.
Yeah, I'm going with Hopkins for many of those same reasons, but also what he could do for these wide receivers.
Yeah.
The Christian McCaffrey conversation it's died down a little bit because we're talking about all these rookie running backs and free agent running backs and what have you. But I have to ask you here regarding selling McCaffrey, if you wanted to do that in Dynasty. Brian Robinson is gone. He's now in Atlanta. What's your opinion on selling McCaffrey given his age in Dynasty? I know it's kind of you're walking the tightrope here a little bit when you're talking about selling off an asset that's been as good as he has been. But there's a very real possibility that the Niners draft the McCaffrey replacement, or at least part of the replacement strategy for post Christian McCaffrey in this draft. What do you believe if you were going to sell McCaffrey? Is now the time to do it? Would you not want to be in that business at all and acquire him at this point? What are you doing, Tony, with him?
Yeah, I mean, we have as much McCaffrey as we can. He's the most important player to the Dynasty portfolio. So I would, last week your guest Fritz, he said it best, right? These Hall of Fame guys, they got to just retire on your roster. You're
right.
I think it's crazy to try to get rid of him, but if you did, that's next week, right? Right after cut down, when you can expand your roster, because the rookie picks aren't going to do it. You just got to get, 3 upside running backs for him, I guess. Or a receiver you really like and an upside running back. But it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, he scares me to death. He had 450 touches last year. We know what that means. But when he's on the field, he's a cheat code. So you can't, you're almost lucky if he's banged up a little bit at the beginning of the season, and maybe he'll be fresh for the playoff run. If you're a contender, you got to keep him.
With one, let me just ask a rapid fire running back question here. Rico Dowdle was not a very good pass protector last year. I think historically he hasn't been all that great with pass pro. And Jaylen Warren has been elite pass protection wise in Pittsburgh. And obviously he's very skilled catching the ball too. When you consider, if you went 0 RB and Rico Dowdle would certainly qualify as one of the players you could draft if you went heavy wide receiver and tight end early. Do you think Dowdle gets enough pass catching work for him to stay fantasy relevant? Because I don't know how much fantasy relevance you can get if you're just out banging between the tackles on first and second down for 17 games.
Right. I think that people are kind of looking at the same roles from last year there in Pittsburgh still. Like people are saying Warren's going to move to the Gainwell role and Dowdle's brought in to be in that, early role. But that was an Arthur Smith offense. Like, this is not the same deal. McCarthy coached him in Dallas. See, there you go, coach again. I guess I'm into the coaching more than I thought.
It should be, and it's a great, refreshing thing.
Yeah. I mean, so he coached him in Dallas, and, he kind of took over the lead role in Dallas that one year where he was there. I think they were there together.
Yeah.
So he could have been brought in to play every down, but, I mean, if Aaron Rodgers ends up back there and he doesn't approve of your play, doesn't matter what the coach thinks, So, but I wasn't sold that Rodgers really loved Warren because he clearly became a Gainwell guy. Like, he was obsessed with Kenny Gainwell. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, them losing Gainwell might be why he decides to retire instead of go back. So I don't know. I think there's definitely an opportunity for Dowdle to be, an RB1 even, I would say, because he could take 80% of the snaps there.
Warren did catch 40 passes last year, which was the second highest of his career, highest since 2023 when he had 61. But yeah, that Pittsburgh backfield, it's going to be, I think, more maddening than fun for fantasy.
Well, and Rodgers will check it down. I mean, whoever's out there is going to catch the ball, whether they can or not. They're going to get targeted, those running backs.
Well, and you bring up Gainwell. And I remember Aaron Jones back in the day. He would throw downfield to Gainwell. He would throw downfield to Aaron Jones. Those are it's got to be two of his favorite running backs to throw to.
Dowdle, I think, is the best nomadic running back in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think he could go anywhere.
Why is he nomadic, Ferrell? Why? I mean, he does good in all these spots, and then they just let him move on.
I don't know. And it's certainly, he looks like he fulfills the good citizen position. Yeah. And, I think maybe for the first time in a few seasons, he's at a position now where he could have a winning record. And a winning record goes far in this division because it might just get you into the playoffs. And I really like his opportunities this year. I'm a big Dowdle fan. We were big Dowdle fans last year. While everybody, especially during the Pros versus Joes, you got to tune in. Then you would scare them, brother Couture. You would scare them. Yeah. You really need to play in the Pros versus Joes because you would scare the pros to death.
They would not want to see you.
They would not want to see. They would not want any part of your game. Balky, can I ask about a player to our very, very positive, influential, an informed guess? Can I ask him to go negative and give me a player that he doesn't want?
Yeah.
And then, sir, if you would jump in here and give me a player that we haven't talked about yet that you really got to have on your rosters, and I don't care if it's Dynasty, redraft. You are going to redraft with us, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. You are redrafting. Give me those guys. One guy that you can't stand and one guy you got to have.
So we kind of already talked about it, but not enough at the beginning. And the guy I am getting away with for nothing is Travis Hunter. I mean, I'm offering him for like 3rd round picks, and I know it's not enough. I know that he could easily pop this year. The defense stuff scares you, but the problem with a guy like Hunter is you're never going to cut him, no matter what. You're never going to cut him. Yeah, he's a roster clogger. You're just never going to be able to get rid of him if you don't trade him for something.
Would you be surprised if he caught less than 10 passes this year?
I would be surprised.
Yes.
I believe you guys are talking about a defensive back.
I think he is. I
believe
think he'll
that's what
still
you're
play
talking
enough.
about. And I don't believe we ever see him catch passes to be fantasy football relevant.
He didn't really prove that he had a handle on the playbook. And then all the stuff came out about he was getting his own signals in Colorado for like his individual standalone route. That's scary stuff right there. I mean, but I think he's still 40 catches. It's just when do you know?
To catch 40 passes in the NFL, and I've said this before, and I'm going to quit talking about it, but we have a guest here, Balky, that I can try to throw it out there with because I'm interested in his opinion. But to catch 40 balls, you have to spend a lot of times with the receiving corps. To play defensive back, you have to spend a lot of time in the defense. Where you take one player out of one position group and you start working in the other position group, especially a player that you've hinted at might be challenged in preparing, and he is a natural shutdown corner, which is a very, very valuable thing in this league. At least that's what he was drafted for. I believe this guy is a defensive back, and I think anyone that is trying to turn him into a pass catcher, what do you want with 40 catches? You can get that a lot of places.
Sure. And at the end of the year, they didn't need him. I mean, they were moving the ball up and down the field with the receivers that they brought in. I mean, with Myers and Washington, and even Thomas wasn't really a big part of that, and they were still just doing whatever they wanted.
I think what I'm going to big picture this here, and I'm not like this Travis Hunter stan, but I will say this. This is a guy who Jacksonville gave up a ton of draft capital to move up to take him at the 2 spot. I don't believe that you do that for a guy that you just expect to play on one side of the ball when the dude, second Biletnikoff reference of the night, Ferrell, was the Biletnikoff award winner.
He was the award winner. Yep.
In college.
And, I love those college awards.
Right.
You got to love them.
I think it's fine to look at it now to say, oh, he's going to play mostly defensive back this year. Well, what are we basing that on? We're basing it on James Gladstone's, I wouldn't say throwaway comment, but we're basing it on like one piece of information we got at the GM's press conference in February. A lot can change. And then what happens if Thomas Jr. goes down? What happens if Myers gets hurt? What happens if Parker Washington hits the shelf? You have this ready-made best receiver in college football from 2 years ago on your roster. You telling me that you wouldn't work him in more? So
emergency wide receiver, but I just, that's not why I'm taking the stance. I'm taking the stance because I know that you can't serve 2 masters in an NFL building.
Right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Sorry, real quick, Tony. Let me just finish up here. To Ferrell's point, if all that happens, are we still looking at a valuable fantasy asset? Probably not. A lot of stuff still has to go his way in order for that to happen.
I think you've answered this question, Balky. I think this is the greatest answer to this question we've ever had, because the player that you love is Travis Hunter, and you love this player so you can hate yourself. And now give us a player that you already hate that you just can't stand. It's remember the old XFL player, He Hate Me?
Yes, Rod Smart. Rod Smart.
He's in Western Kentucky. It was Rob Smart.
So the players that I'm going after, I mean, I quickly want to shout out Travion Henderson and RJ Harvey. Like, I'm a big second year guy, and I think their value is a little suppressed because they still have other running backs in the room. So you get a rare opportunity to buy these guys. But I'm just going to go real low in honor of the Van Jefferson talk from 5 years ago. I got a sneaky thing about Pat Bryant still. Mm-hmm. He's free. I think he's going to be out there in these rookie drafts. And at the end of the year, he was getting peppered with targets in those first quarters of the playoff games, and he just got hurt in both of them. Or the snow came and he got hurt in one, but I don't know. I think that bringing in Waddle is a different body type. It's a very rare chance, 5-10%, but I think there's a world where he might lead the Broncos in receptions next year, which is it's crazy. I know it's crazy. I didn't want to go with this.
See, Balky, we're trying to get the guest to go negative, and we asked him to give us a player that he hates, and he's given us 5. The guy is so positive. He's given us 5 players that he loves. You gotta love this guy. We gotta have this guy come back on. We got to have him in the pros versus Joes. I have no my pros versus Joes situation is that I provide the runners up with a pair of socks. That's all I do. So I don't have any influence there. But man, you're one hell of a guest. Where do you live?
So I'm in Western Massachusetts.
Oh, that's close enough to Kentucky. You got to get your way down.
Yeah,
you got to come on down the Ohio River.
Real quick about Denver's wide receivers, then we'll put a pin on it. There's a potential out in Cortland Sutton's contract after this season, where Denver could release him with less than a $16 million cap hit. The cap hits for him going forward after that, $28, $30, and $31 million. Would they let him go now that they have Waddle intact? If they believe in Pat Bryant, I could see that happening after this year if Sutton does not have the type of year that he had this past year. Right. And then in that case, Pat Bryant becomes a lot more intriguing in Dynasty. This year, I think it's going to be relying upon injuries. My whole point here is this. I think Bryant is more like Cortland Sutton than Jalen Waddle.
Agreed.
So if anything were to happen to Sutton, I'm with you, Tony. I saw the same thing. I saw a player that was really heavily involved in the game plan until he got hurt. And we already know Sean Payton's compared him to Michael Thomas.
Yes,
before.
exactly.
Yeah. All right, guys, we have run way over, and which is fine because I really enjoyed our conversation tonight with Tony Couture. I know that Ferrell did. I know that our viewers and listeners did as well. You keep up the great work. Enjoy the NFL draft. Enjoy drafting season this year, Tony. It was so good to have you back on the program, and we will continue to connect with you on X. Cabot Street, Mantown.
Thanks, guys.
So much fun to have you on, dude. You be good. And we'll talk with you again real soon. We'll talk with you again when I forget that you've been on the show twice and I ask you to come on for the first time.
All right, 5 years from now.
5 years from now. Talk to you in 2031, baby.
You guys are awesome. Good luck this year. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Tony. That's Tony Couture, the 13-time FFPC Dynasty League champion. Great stuff from him tonight, and certainly appreciated the conversation. Ferrell, with that, I will tell everybody to check out KFFSC.com, KFFSC.com. The $100 Sweet 16, the $39 Draft Masters, and of course, the granddaddy of them all, the KFFSC Main Event. Slow drafts filling up right now. Would encourage you to get in there. I'm registered for a bunch of them. You can compete with me in there. See in the draft rooms. We'll have a lot of fun. It's always fun hanging out with you, Ferrell, and we will talk with you again on Friday with Tommy Heron, Tommy Island, who's going to be our guest on Extra Reps. Going to be a lot of fun. Thank you, sir.
We'll see you soon.
You got it. That is Ferrell Elliott, the definitive commissioner of fantasy football. That will wrap up our show tonight. I want to thank Tony Couture, Ferrell Elliott, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and of course, each and every one of you. We will be back next Wednesday. I think I have a guest for that show. I don't want to misspeak here. Yeah, I do. It is Steve Ezzo. Steve Ezzo, a multi-league champion in the Dynasty realm for FFPC Fantasy Football. Steve Ezzo will be my guest with Ferrell next Wednesday at 10 p.m. Check out FFPC Insider Access tomorrow night. Andrew Mott from the Dynasty Nerds is going to join me for 2 full hours of spirited rookie discussion. So if you're craving more rookie conversation, that's where you can go. 7 o'clock tomorrow night, anywhere on the FFPC socials. And then Friday night, Extra Reps, as I just mentioned, Ferrell Elliott, myself, and Tommy Heron going to chop it up. We'll talk about tonight's episode, and we'll talk about some other stuff we didn't get to in tonight's episode live at 10. Not live, but we will air that show 10 p.m. on the FFPC socials on Friday night. Dynasty Empire Orphans, Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, Never Too Early Superflex Best Ball Tournament, FFPC Big Gorilla, FFPC Baby Gorilla all have these things in common. Alex, find them all at myffpc.com, which I just realized is not a question. So I screwed up my Jeopardy thing anyway. I apologize for that. Myffpc.com is where to go to participate in any and all of those. Remember to like, subscribe, comment, share, and get notified anytime we go live, which will be tomorrow night, Thursday at 7 p.m. with Andrew Mott and myself. And as our friend Vince Staffolino reminds us, you are officially over the hump now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. It was broadcast live and was watched around the world. Balky and Ferrell will be back next week with more analysis, more interviews, and more advice from guests much smarter than they are. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk with you again next week.
Want to remind everybody to check out those Dynasty and Empire Orphans. We are adding, I didn't mention this on the show, we are adding new ones every day, a dozen, 2 dozen new ones at basically all the price points, or a smattering of all the price points. So if you are looking to, if you never dipped your toes in the Dynasty waters, you can basically get a team for free right now. Try it out for a year, see how you like it. I think Tony Couture would agree. Once you play, you don't want to stop playing Dynasty Fantasy Football. myffpc.com/dynasty for sale. Talk with you tomorrow, everybody. Thanks so much for watching.